Donald Trump and Jeb Bush are continuing their fiery back and forth on the campaign trail over immigration reform.
We're joined by Washington Post political reporter Robert Costa. Robert, thanks for being with us. Excuse the siren going by here. Let me ask you, Robert, all this talk back and forth between Jeb Bush and Donald Trump, who does it benefit here?
For now, it looks like Trump is getting under Bush's skin a little bit. Bush is reacting to Trump. He was at the border yesterday talking about immigration in a tone that was Trump-esque. And you see Trump, he just continues to hammer. I spoke to Trump yesterday. He says he's going to be relentless in going after Bush for the next few weeks.
Well, let's talk about Jeb Bush for a minute, Robert. He seemed to put his foot in his mouth again with his comments about anchor babies. He said he was talking about Asians. How does he recover from that?
Jeb Bush's appeal to many in the Republican establishment is that he has a presentation, political persona that could work in a general election, appeal to moderate voters, minority groups that the GOP often struggles with. By these comments on anchor babies, he's moving to the right, and that's raising some eyebrows in the donor community.
Let me ask you this about the Donald Trump effect, if you will. You know, if you looked at this situation just a few months ago, a few people would have maybe predicted how well he is doing right now, that he has had the staying power that he has. Is this what the Republican candidates, particularly Jeb Bush, want to be focusing on at this point in time?
No, they want to be introducing themselves to voters in the summer months, but that's just not happening. Trump has changed the race. He is connecting with working-class conservatives in a populist fashion that's resonating, especially in deep red states. When I was in Mobile, Alabama, with thousands of people last Friday, you saw Trump resonating. Controversial, to be sure, but clicking with many in the base and those who have been disengaged with politics for a long time.
You've interviewed him several times, as you mentioned. Do you think we'll continue to talk about what Trump brings to the table?
I think Trump has an ability to reach out to the press, to be very accessible, to do a lot of events, that he dominates the airways. I think about Trump as a New York tabloid-style politician, someone who understands how to navigate that world of New York tabloids and really knowing the reporters and knowing how the papers work and scoops and headlines. Trump has that sensibility. His rivals don't.
That was going to be my question in terms of the GOP establishment. What do you think it is that party elders missed about a Donald Trump candidacy in sort of assessing his staying power early on?
Well, I've learned one thing covering two presidential campaigns, and that's never assume anything in politics or in life, but especially in politics. The Republican establishment assumed Trump would not run. They assumed he just didn't want to risk his brand, but he was making moves back in January and February toward a race. We reported it at the Washington Post, and now he's in it.
So Donald Trump fired off more nasty tweets about Megyn Kelly. Why does he keep going after her? Why not just let it go?
It is a political risk for Trump. I was at a focus group of Trump supporters last night. These are hardcore Trump people, and they said the one thing that really makes them raise their eyes and have concerns is his comments about women. And when you refer to women in a derogatory fashion, especially on the political playing field at this level, it doesn't do anything but damage to your campaign most of the time.
Is there a strategy here in prodding Fox News in particular in a primary?
I don't know if Trump has a strategy. It seems every time I talk to him, he just revels in controversy. He likes having fun. And if he feels if people are punching him, he'll punch back even harder. That's just the way he lives. That's the way he campaigns.
Hillary Clinton made a comment that most of the GOP candidates are essentially just like Trump. Most of them have been trying to separate themselves from them. So how do those candidates, how do they respond to that?
I'm not so sure if they're all separating. Look at Scott Walker, his troubles on immigration and articulating a position that doesn't seem like he's shifting. He has moved to the right on immigration like Trump. Bush and his tone at the border, a lot like Trump. They want to make sure they preserve their general election viability. At the same time, with Trump consuming the news, it's very hard for them to not start to adapt to that situation and maybe take a few cues from him.
So does that mean the Scott Walker strategy here is to go after Trump voters and hoping that Trump folds at some point here?
That is the playbook for many of them. Hope Trump implodes, then try to collect his voters. Senator Ted Cruz has a similar play. He's been very positive about Trump. Even Ohio Governor John Kasich praised Trump at the debate, continues to be pretty warm toward him. But that doesn't mean Trump's going to get out of the race. That's, again, assuming he's going to implode.
All right, Robert Costa, The Washington Post. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Donald Trump will hold a campaign rally later today in Dubuque, Iowa. That gets underway at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Stay tuned to CBSN for coverage.